Grade 8 English. Lesson number 2. Granny's Tree Climbing. Part 2.
Good morning, children. Before starting with the e-learning classes, let us start with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Let us learn the meaning of Gayatri Mantra. We meditate on that most adored Supreme Lord, the Creator, whose divine light illumines all physical, mental, and spiritual being. May this divine light illumine our intellect as well.
Hello, students. Look there at naughty John. He wants to play with the neighbor's dog. When then they are all away. Now, do you remember similarly a person who did such kind of a prank? Yes, you're right. We're talking about Granny. Now, children, we are going to learn the second part of Granny's tree climbing written by Ruskin Bond. Now, you had come to know in the first part that Granny was very much interested in all the time climbing trees. She was stopped by the families many times that she was not supposed to climb trees. Maybe she might have a fall, and they suspected that sometimes she will meet with an accident. So, they had been stopping her to climb trees. One such incident happens when Granny's the whole family of Granny are in town, and Granny is there in the village and she is climbing trees. And as she climbs a tree, something else happens. She does not have a terrible fall, but since she gets on the top of the tree, but she could not come back down. And she is not able to get down the trees, and the people around the village try to rescue her, and they find that Granny is not well. So let us come to see what happens in the second part of the story.
After the people rescued her, she was advised something. Let us come to know what Ruskin Bond says in the poem. After the rescue, the doctor took Granny's temperature and said, I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. We sighed with relief and tucked her up in well. Poor Granny, for her, it was like a brief season in hell, confined to her bedroom while every breeze whispered of summer and dancing leaves. Now, what happened is that after the doctor advised her to rest, since she had developed a fever, therefore the doctor asked her to rest for a week, that is 7 days. All the family members were actually relaxed and they heaved a sigh of relief because they thought the granny won't climb the trees anymore. But poor granny, she felt it was a brief season of hell for her. She was restricted to her bed for 7 days, and when the summer breeze blew and the leaves whispered, she felt it was a brief season of hell for her. For her, the summer turned to be hell. Here, the poet uses personification. It's a figure of speech. You remember here when an inanimate object is a leaf. Leaf is not a living thing, actually speaking, but the leaf is a given the quality of a human being, like whispering, which is a quality of human being. So this is a figure of speech which is called as personification. Similarly, the poet uses metaphor, which means comparing an inanimate object or a thing which is not direct, it's an indirect comparison, like describing the season to be like hell. So here the poet uses various kinds of figures of speech to make his poem very beautiful. So let us see what happens next. Let's move on to the next few lines of the poem. You are also interested. Yes, I know. The poet says, but she had held her peace till she felt stronger. Then she sat up and said, I'll lie here no longer. And she called for my father and told him undaunted that a house in a treetop was what she was now wanted. Now, what happened? the grandma had been very unhappy lying there on the bed for 7 days. And then she somehow managed for 7 days to lie on the bed. And then finally she recovered and she called for the poet's father. She said very strongly and fearlessly that it was very suffocating for her to live without a tree. And she told him to make a treetop house for her. Now, the poet says, my dad knew his duties. He said, that's all right. You will have what you want, dear. I'll start work tonight. With my expert assistance, he soon finished the chore and made her a treat house with a windows and a door. Now, the poet says that Ruskin Bond's father was a very dutiful son and he loved his mother a lot. So, he, along with the poet, made her a treetop house at last, and she was so jubilant, so happy to live there. Finally, she was on her favorite thing to climb the trees. Now, Ruskin Bond says in the last few lines, so Granny moved up, and now every day I climb to her room with glasses and tray. She sits there in a state and drinks sherry with me, upholding her right to reside in a tree. Now, their children, so Granny finally started living on the tree. The poet every day started climbing the tree with glass and tray, and now his granny was very happy. She used to finally sit there majestically drinking sherry, which is a kind of a fruit wine, and she used to feel very happy that it was a rightful place for her to sit on the tree, and she felt that she was a princess and she was very majestic and happy there. So now children, we are at the end of the poem, and I hope that you have understood the poem very well, and we are going to move to the some recap questions. I know you will be very happy to answer them. Now let us learn some literary devices which you also call as figures of speech. We understood that personification is a figure of speech where the poet gives inanimate object or non-living thing qualities of human being. Now in the line, while every breeze whispered of summer and dancing leaves, the poet has given the human quality of whispering and dancing to the leaves. So here the poet uses personification. Similarly, simile is used in the lines like summer season is described to be like hell, like a brief season in hell. That means summer season is considered to be like hell for the grandmother. So here with the help of the word like or as, we compare two things. That is called simile. Now let us move on to alliteration. Alliteration means constant repetition of some consonant sounds. Now consonants can be apart from the vowel sounds. Now like we can see the two lines, growing old should be gone about gracefully. Now here you can understand, yes, very well, G is a consonant where the poet has continuously used the G word, the word G or the alphabet or the consonant G to make his repetitions in three words, growing, gone, gracefully. Similarly, in the line, she sits there in state and drinks sherry with me. Here also we can observe which consonant? Yes, S. S is repeated. She sits, state, sherry. Very correct, children. Now let us move on to understand the rhyming words in the poem. You understood the words which almost have the similar sound may not be the same words, but may be having almost a typical same sound. Like example, Y and high, you and to, gift and lift, told and old, agree and tree. These are all called the rhyming words. So here in the poem, as we have understood, the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, B, C, C and on. I know children, you have understood the chapter or the poem very well, and I hope that you will be able to answer all the assignment questions. Happy learning to all of you. Bye. Now children, we will head on for the question answer session. Let me ask you the first question. What was Granny advised by the doctor? How did she feel about it? I know you know the answer. You can pause the slide and check the answers in the second slide. Question number 2. How were Granny's activities a cause of worry and tension for the family? Question number 3. It's an extract. I'm reading out the questionnaire. I strongly recommend a quiet week in bed. We sighed with relief and tucked her up well. Poor Granny, for her it was like a brief season in hell. Now here, tell me, I refers to whom? Second question, here we refers to whom? C. In line number 3, which poetic device has been used? D. Why was it like a brief season of hell for Granny? Now, I have also given a practice question. You are the poet of the poem Granny's Tree Climbing, and it pains you to see your grandmother in nature lover confined to bed. Now, you really want her to be strong again. Write a letter to your friend expressing your feeling and a series of incidents that led her to the bed rest. Now, you can do it in 80 to 90 words. I know that you are aware of the social letter format. That is your address. After that, you will have the date. Then you will directly have the salutation, your friend's name, dear friend, and then you will start with the problem which the granny faced and how she was confined to the bed. Okay, so this is how you have to finish your practice question as well. Now you can check the answers in the last slide. Okay, bye bye children, have a wonderful learning session.